Hi guys, welcome to class today. I'm so happy to see all of your smiling faces, and I'm so happy to see everyone here today. Our lesson today is going to be on fluency and how we can use fluency and all of its components to become good readers, okay? So we're just going to do a quick review of what fluency means. So fluency means to read with accuracy, expression, or as we other know it as, prosody. It is to read with speed, and it's to read with purpose, okay? So we're just going to kind of go over those four categories. So to read with accuracy means that we are reading our text or our piece of reading material without changing words and without skipping or eliminating words. So when we read with accuracy, we are reading the text exactly like it is presented to us, okay? And then to read with expression means we are not reading like a robot. We're not reading with no emotion, right? We don't want to read a text like this that doesn't make us seem very interested in it and doesn't help us understand what is being said, right? We don't want to read like a robot. No. We want to pay attention to punctuation within our text so we can read it with the appropriate emotion, okay? And then to read with speed doesn't mean we are reading as fast as we possibly can. So we don't want to read like this, right? We don't want to do that. And we don't want to read too slow as if we were reading like, I went to the store. No, we don't want to read either way like that, right? We don't want to read too quickly or too slowly. And the reason why we don't want to do that is because it doesn't help us with our comprehension or our understanding of the text. So I want you to kind of think about speed as if you're holding a conversation, as if you're communicating with someone. When you talk with someone, you don't want to talk too fast because they're not going to understand what you're saying. And you don't want to talk too slow because they'll lose interest in what you're saying. So when you think about speed as you read, I really want you to think about a natural conversation, the speed and flow of a natural conversation to be had, okay? And then finally, we read for understanding. So when we read with understanding, we're reading for a purpose, okay? So whether it be we are reading the text to find answers to questions, we're reading to find information so we can discuss about a topic, or if we're reading for just joy, right? We are reading for purposes, okay? For a purpose. So when we are looking at fluency, we want to make sure that we are constantly checking for understanding. We want to make sure we are understanding the text and the material and the information within the text. So it's good to make sure that we are constantly making sure we're understanding, and if we don't, that we ask questions that will help us understand. All right, so now that we've kind of reviewed what fluency means, we are going to be reading a poem that will help us practice fluency. All right, guys, you did so good going over and reviewing fluency. So, for today's lesson, we are going to read a poem called Silly Dreams. Yes, isn't that silly? We're going to actually read a poem about silly dreams. Who has ever had a silly dream before? This is where you'd allow a few minutes for them to share and discuss their dreams. Wow, that sounds like everyone's kind of had a silly dream before. I know I've had a silly dream. So, what we're going to do with our poem today, Silly Dream, we are going to echo read. So, echo reading is when I read, you wait while I read, you follow along as I read, and then you read it back to me. You read the same thing I just read back to me, okay? So we are going to practice that really quick, just so you understand what echo reading is and what I'm looking for from you. So, as you can see on the board, I wrote a sentence. So I'm going to read the sentence first. And I want you guys to tell me if I'm reading it correctly, if I'm using fluency as I read. And if I'm not, I want you to tell me why I'm not, okay? I love chocolate ice cream. Did I read that correctly? Why or why not? You're absolutely right. I read it way too slowly, didn't I? And I also didn't use the right expression. There's an exclamation mark at the end of my sentence, isn't there? So I needed to show more expression. So I'm going to try that again. I love chocolate ice cream. What do you think? Did I read that right? With the right amount, with the right correct expression and fluency and pace? Good job, I did. I read it at a nice flow and I showed the appropriate expression. Did anyone notice what I did with my finger as I read? Yes, I want you to follow along with each word as I read, all right? So I want you guys to hold up your finger in the air and follow along with me. I love chocolate ice cream. Good job. So when we are reading our poem today, I want you to follow along with your handy-dandy pointing finger as I read this each sentence and each word within the sentence. I want you to follow along so you know where we are. So when you echo read back to me, you are reading the correct sentence, okay? So I'm going to hand out copies of Silly Dreams to you, okay? I want you to wait until everyone has this and I want you to sit patiently, okay? I want you to point when you get the paper and you're sitting patiently for me and for everyone to get their copy, I want you to put your fingers on the title of the poem, okay? That is the very tippy top of the page. That is our title of our poem. That's where I want you to hold your finger and wait for everyone until they get their copy. Does everyone have a copy of their poem? And is everyone's pointer finger right underneath the title of our poem? Good job. Okay, so I'm going to begin reading. Where I begin reading is on the title of our poem. So follow along with me and let's practice. I'm going to use my pointer finger and follow along each word I read. Make sure you are doing the same. Remember, when I read, you aren't reading out loud. You wait until I finish and then I want you to read back. Read out loud what I just read to you, okay? So, Silly Dreams. Now it's your turn to read it. Good job. That is exactly what I'm looking for as we are reading this poem. So when I'm done reading a sentence, I want you to read it back to me. Or when I'm done reading a section, I want you to read the section back to me, okay? So let's begin. Every night I go to sleep, I never stay in bed. I go to faraway places, but only in my head. Just the other day, I had tea with the Queen. She was not very kind and rather really mean. I can go to space. I will dance with the moon. If I'm feeling hungry, I eat him with a spoon. The stars are tasty too, with sugar and cream. I eat until I burst. It is only a dream. I will ride a lion with a pink nose and purple tail. I will race against a blue whale. The jungle has lions, tigers, and bears. They all wear dresses and have feathers for hair. Sometimes I fly and sometimes I soar. The grass is my sky and the clouds my floor. I am graceful like the birds. I am faster than a rocket. When I need to rest, I sleep in a cloud pocket. Today when I dream, I will think about clowns. They know how to chase away frowns. Frowns are when you're sad and instead of smiling, your mouth frowns. Crowns. Okay. I will play cards with fish. Sleep the middle of the sea. I will share a piece of cake with a bumblebee. Very good job reading. Echo reading back to me today, guys. You did such a great job. Now, here in a minute, when I tell you to, I want you to turn to your neighbor and talk about this poem. Up on the whiteboard, you will see that I have a few questions for you guys to ask each other, okay? I want you to think and ask why this poem is titled Silly Dreams. Ask your partner, why do you think this poem is titled Silly Dreams? And let them discuss, and then I want the other person to ask that same question, okay? I want you guys to both answer these questions, okay? And then I want you to think about if these things in our poem, if these events that our author is describing about their dreams, I want you to think about if these can happen in real life. In the jungle, is there really bears, tigers, and let's see, it was lion, tigers, and bears. Do you think lion, tigers, and bears live in the jungle? Why or why not? Do you think that you can actually ride a lion with a pink nose and a purple tail? Why or why not? And then I want you to talk about what your favorite part of this poem was. Okay, and then for our final question, our very final question, I want you to think about why the first sentence starts with, every night I go to sleep, I never stay in bed. What do you think this means? What do you think the author is telling us? Do you think that he or she actually leaves her bed every night when she falls asleep? I want you guys to hold a discussion for a few minutes. I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes. I'll check in around the 5-minute mark, see where everyone's at, and then we will talk as a whole class. So go ahead and start your discussions. Hi guys, you did so good with your discussions, and we had a great time sharing our ideas and things that we've learned from our partners. And so right now I'm just going to ask a few questions, some review questions, to make sure that everyone understands what it means to be a fluent reader. Alright, who in here, remember to raise your hand. I will not call on you if you do not raise your hand. I don't want to hear Bobby blurters. So please raise your hand to answer the questions. Who in here in our class can tell me what it means to read with expression? Yes, reading with expression means that we are paying attention to punctuation in a text. So if someone is making a statement, our tone can stay level. We don't have to fluctuate our tone to express emotion or expression, right? So, what does it mean if there's an exclamation mark? How would we express an exclamation mark? I want someone to give me an example. Raise your hands. Yes, with excitement, right? We want to say, we're going to the zoo. We would say, we're going to the zoo, right? We want to make sure that as we're paying attention to punctuation, that we are expressing it correctly when we're reading it aloud. All right, and then who in here can tell me what it means to read with speed? Good job. Yes, reading with speed means that we are reading with a natural flow. We aren't reading too quickly or too slowly that we lose our comprehension. Very good job. And what does it mean to read with understanding? Yes, so when we read with understanding, we are reading for a purpose, right? So we want to make sure we are always checking to make sure we are understanding what we are reading. Because we read for a purpose, whether that is to find answers to questions, whether that is to find information to share through discussion, or if we're just reading for the joy of it. We want to make sure we understand what we're reading so we can gain the appropriate understanding for why we're reading, right? And then what does it mean to read with accuracy? Yes, to read with accuracy means that we are not changing any of the words, we are not eliminating or skipping any words, and we are reading the text exactly how it is presented to us.